Officially Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Day, so obviously I need to know, who is your favorite turtle?
For those of you that know me pretty well and pretty much seen my content, you should already know that I am a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan. For as long as I can remember, I have pretty much been a big Turtles fan for like the longest. From the 80s cartoon to the comics to the 2003 series to the 2012 series, even to Rise of TMNT, I pretty much love TMNT. And as for who my favorite turtle is, it could be none other than Leonardo. And here's the reason why. When it comes right down to being a leader, no one shows these qualities a lot more than Leonardo. Not only is he the most disciplined out of his brothers, but he is also the most responsible out of them as well. And each time we see him, he always tries to make sure his brothers steer in the right direction, while he's also pretty much trying to deal with his own conflicts as well. And Leonardo has shown multiple times that despite his shortcomings, he has shown to pretty much be the most powerful of his brothers. And it's because of that leadership, he makes sure that he and his brothers work as a unit. Now I'm gonna go a little bit further and pretty much rank my favorite designs of Leonardo, from my least favorite to my most favorite. Ranked at the lowest would have to be Leonardo from the Next Mutation. Now I like the fact that the show has a really interesting premise to where the turtles are no longer teenagers, and not only do they have the most awesome fit, but they also have like emblems on their person to where it pretty much reminiscent of the old 80s cartoon. I just wasn't a big fan of this show, especially when they had it on Netflix. The next one up would have to be the Michael Bay films. Now, even though that I do like the Michael Bay movies, and I do love the fact that the turtles pretty much have their own style that goes along with their personality, as well as being like 7 feet tall, I just find it a lot more comical than any other design of the turtles that I've seen so far. I mean, the idea of 4 anthropomorphic teenage turtles is already silly enough, but like this is just pushing it. Next up would have to be Mutant Mayhem Leonardo. Now, I do like the fact that this is a perfect blend of the classic toys as well as the Mirage comic, and I love that this version of Leo acts more like a teenager, much like his brothers, and I wish I could have ranked it a little bit higher, but you know, we got more on this list. Next one up would have to be Leo from TMNT 2007. As a kid, I loved this movie. I can remember how many times I lost count pretty much watching this movie over and over and over again. I also love how this version of Leo is trying so hard to work on being a better leader so that way he and his brother can come back together, especially with there being a wedge between himself and his brothers, especially Raph. Plus, I love his slick down design. Next one up would have to be the classic Leonardo from the 1980s cartoon. I still remember the days when I would still watch those VHS tapes with my mom and my brother. And this version of Leo is trying so hard to be the superhero leader of every single 80s cartoon. Plus, he shows a lot of intellect and thinking on his feet, especially when it comes to really bad situations. Like, watch Attack of the Killer Pizza and you'll see what I mean. But yeah, nothing can ever beat the classics. Next one up is the IDW version of Leonardo. Not only, in my opinion, this is probably close to the most brutal that Leonardo has ever been in a comic book series, but the IDW series shows that it doesn't pull any punches when it comes to these characters. And plus, you could tell from this design that it's a parody of another Turtle series, that one being the 2012 series. This version of Leo tries to be the best leader that he possibly can based off of a cartoon show that he watches with his favorite cartoon character. I also love how this version of Leo learns to be a better leader on his own instead of pretty much trying to follow examples from a character that he watches on a cartoon show. And despite the fact that I was a little put off with the fact that Seth Green took over the voice role of Leonardo, also I pretty much love the chibi look that he has going for him. The next one would have to be Rise of the TMNT. This one is my personal favorite because not only is he voiced by Ben Schwartz, who is also the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog from the Sonic the Hedgehog live action movie, but this version of Leo is probably the most unique version I've seen. Because unlike the other versions that tried to be the better leader of the team and also being the oldest, this one is the second oldest and he's also the comic relief of the group, which at first is pretty confusing since Michelangelo is always the one cracking the jokes here. But when it comes to Leo, he's more sarcastic with it, giving him a bit more personality. And as you keep watching the series, he pretty much grows into his leadership more and more as the episodes go on, all leading up to a kick-ass movie greenlit by Netflix. I'm probably gonna rewatch Rise after this now. After that, we got the original comics version of Leonardo. Now, if there's one thing I learned at a very early age, is that the original TMNT are brutal as hell. Unlike their later counterparts or the 1980s cartoon, they don't mind taking a life, especially the fact that if you pretty much cross them the wrong way. Their first mission was to literally take revenge on Orokusaki, aka the Shredder, for the death of Hamato Yoshi. And I would find myself going back multiple times and reading the classic comics because they're just so good. And even to this day, it's still worth the read. Oh Oh, now you know I'm bringing back nostalgia for the 90s kids out there. I know y'all remember how goated this movie was. Both the first and the second TMNT movies were just fire and were the perfect staple for the 90s. Not only did they follow a few examples from the comic books, but they also took certain cues from the 1980s cartoon as well. Like each turtle wearing a different bandana color so you know exactly who it is. And even their personality translated well from the cartoon. And to this day, I still go back and watch this movie. Such a goated movie, man. But we don't talk about Ninja Turtles 3. And the #1 version of Leonardo, in my opinion, will have to go to the 2003 version. I would remember waking up early Saturday morning every single week to catch the Fox box in order to watch this show. Hell, I remember when they were advertising this show back in 2003 to where they were pretty much trying to sell the toys and whatnot. And it had these little magazines that you would find at Toys R Us that pretty much gives you the bio of each different character that was going to be in the show. And I was so interested in the designs of each different character as well as Leonardo. He looks more stoic, calm, serene, focused. And then when we were finally watching the show, this man was kicking ass every single episode that he was in and showing the rest of the little kids out there who was watching the show why he's the leader in green. And just like in other different versions, he's always button heads with Raphael, but Leo always shows that he's the one in charge. So yeah, that's my choice in the matter. And who's y'all favorite Ninja Turtle? And better yet, what's your favorite Ninja Turtle series? Stitch this video, leave it down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.